So hopefully, okay, everybody can see that, right? Everybody can see my
Yeah,
screen?
I'm just some dude
It's so
trying to help
cute.
beginners.
I'm just some dude. Hello. And like I said earlier, everybody, you can keep your mics on if you want, just to like interject and be like, hey, Cax, tell me what that is right now. You know, feel free to just ask any questions, or if I'm doing something wrong and tell, like, you know, again, I don't know how much experience everybody has with Storyboard Pro, but I've been doing it or been using it for at least two years, I think. Um, so I know some things, but I just wanted to, I didn't really have a lot of time to put this together, but but I just figured I'd be like, hey, let me just show you guys like the things I know and like the things I use at my job as a storyboard revisionist. So yeah, this is Storyboard Pro. Welcome to Storyboard Pro. I'm using Storyboard Pro 20 just to let you know. First of all, just one housekeeping thing before I get started for you guys. If you notice that whenever I hover over these boxes here, you see how I've got like a red outline. This is something that is not does not come like set up in Storyboard Pro. And I'll show you what this is real quick. So if you go to Preferences and then Global UI, this little guy here, Focus on Mouse Enter. When you first open Storyboard Pro, it is not on, and essentially what it is like whatever your active window is will be the red outline. So say I'm here drawing, and I'm just I'm why is that one? Yeah, it's like I'm drawing, but I want to get down here in the timeline view and I want to zoom in and out. I'm still in this window. I'm still active in this window. So I used to run into this problem a lot. I'd be like drawing and I'd be like, oh, well, I want to zoom in and out. So I'll do my zoom in and out. And it's like, wait, no, I'm still in this window. So I have to click to this window instead. And I'm skipping ahead. So now I can zoom in and out here. So to avoid that, having to click everywhere, you just go to Preferences and your Global UI and Focus on Mouse Enter. So now, instead of having to click, you can just hover over what you want, and I zoom out and zoom in here, zoom out and zoom in here. So that's just a little thing that I like to keep on because it's annoying having to click to get something to work. So that is just a little thing that I like to do. All right, first off, when you start your project, I want you to know that you can always change the resolution of your project at any time. And the way that you do this is you go to Storyboard and Properties. So your project resolution, like because we're working with vector drawings, you can like infinitely scale your storyboards. So say like you're working in 240p. I used to do this a lot when I worked on this one freelance. I had so much to do that I draw everything in 240p like this, like really tiny. And because these are vector drawings, I could just go, and like at the end of my work and just go to the project resolution and then scale it up to, what I needed it to be, which usually you do HDTV 1080. So I would kind of cheat because like vector drawings are infinitely scalable, which I'll tell you if you don't know what a vector drawing is versus a bitmap. I'm going to talk about that. You can also mess with, what else can you mess with here? You can also mess with like the frames per second in the project resolution, but because we're doing boards, I never really mess with the frames per second. TV and feature, is 24 frames per second usually. So I never mess with that. And as a board artist or revisionist, hopefully you won't have to time out your boards at work. So the FPS really doesn't matter. So since I mentioned vector before I actually like go through the tools and different stuff in Storyboard Pro, I just want to tell you, if you don't know what a vector versus bitmap is, let's just go over that before I talk about the tools. So vector art is super useful for storyboarding because they're not super heavy like bitmaps are, and they're infinitely scalable and easy to manipulate. So I'll show you like if like my director says to me like, oh, change Orange's face, I could be like, yeah, okay, I'll change her face. So I just like, I can like move the vectors really easy. Like, it's like, I want Orange to frown. Okay, I'll make Orange frown. There you go. Sorry, Orange. Now she's sad. There you go. So someone left over that. It's like, oh no. Anyway, yeah, so vectors are super easy to mess with and manipulate. Um, so like what I mean by vector is like every single we couldn't deal with Orange being sad. Vectors are super easy to manipulate this. So like every single stroke that you make is like a vector. And it's so they're like super easy. Every stroke you see that I made here with Orange, it's like you can grab and manipulate and mess with. And also, I'm using like the select tool, which is up here. You also have, what's this tool called? This is the contour editor. So if you use the contour editor, you can also mess with like the weight quality, like of these, of your vector images. I never really use the contour editor at all. I just, if I need to move something, I'll usually just like grab all the vector like all the strokes and like make her head a little bit smaller or something like that. But yeah, so vector is super, super, useful. And like I said, it's not as heavy as a bitmap. So like a bitmap, if you have ever drawn in Photoshop, you'll know what a bitmap is. It's a drawing that's like made up of pixels. So you can also do bitmaps in Storyboard Pro, and this is what like a bitmap drawing in Storyboard Pro looks like. It doesn't look very good, and it's not infinitely scalable, so you can see like, as I get closer, you can see like the pixels. So they're also really heavy, but the one cool thing about bitmaps is that you can add like effects to bitmaps. So like, say I want to do like a rack focus, have like, here I'll do like a really quick. I'll do like Orange right here. She's smiling. So stupid. And say like there's like a leaf in front of her on the camera. That's some leaves. But we want a rack focus. So what you would do is like you can apply I think a new thing with Storyboard Pro 20 is you can actually apply these effects to vector maps too, or vector layers too, and you can even preview them. So like you can see like this is what will happen to the layer if I add a blur to it. Let's preview that. Yeah, that's good. So when I say yes, it's going to say, hey, this artwork is going to be converted to a bitmap layer. And you say, okay, so now it's a bitmap. But usually, like, what I like to do is keep the drawing, like, I'll keep, like, an extra layer, or I'll keep the drawing, and how do I duplicate? There you go. So I'll keep, like, the vector drawing, and then I'll turn this one into a bitmap drawing. So if I want to go back and like change it later, I can always mess with it here. So now I've got my bitmap layer, and you can also, what are the other ones you can apply? Yeah, you could also do like directional blur, radial zoom blur. So you have some options, but just keep in mind that like this will transform the layer from vector into bitmap. Also, just to let you know, if you ever like create a new layer and you're like, why is my my brush so weird now? You can tell the difference between a vector layer and a bitmap layer by the little stripe here. Bitmaps are blue and vectors are gray. So just keep that in mind. And also, also the way that you create vector layers, you can set all these things as like hotkeys, but I just use over here, as you can see. You add a new vector layer by pressing this little button here with the little no, not orange, the red circle, and then this one right here is the add bitmap layer, the one that has like the little little portrait on it. So those are the two, and you can set these like anything to hotkeys pretty much. And there's tons of things that should have like default hotkeys but don't. Like a lot of good tools that should have hotkeys. So anyway, yeah, that's just like a little bit about you know, what you're working with. Anyway, first of all, I'm overwhelmed. There's a lot going on here in this little space. And I totally get that. Let's take a little tour around your space. And before I show you guys like this stuff, I'm gonna talk about the stage view. Your stage view right here, all Storyboard Pro like should come like this. You'll have your stage view. First of all, it probably wouldn't come like this. It probably comes like this. So these little buttons down here, let's go through them. This is like your thumbnail view. This is what your drawing would look like if it's a thumbnail. You've got, what's this called again? The 12 field grid. I had a editor who would tell me, yeah, I like this shot, but I need you to like make the guy 3 fields smaller. And I never understood what he meant by that. But then I found this tool and I was like, oh, so if you ever meet somebody who tells you to make like a character 3 fields smaller, you just use like this grid. I still am not entirely sure what it means, but you know, it's like the space within the camera. Anyway, then you've got this one here. This is your action safe area. I always like use the action safe area. Essentially what your action safe area is like this, the solid outline is like your camera, and the dotted is your action safe. So any action that you have going on should happen within this range here. So you see how like I'm keeping orange within this little area because you don't want your characters acting on the very edges of the screen. Then you've got this one here. This is your title safe area. Title safe just means like keeping any text, like this for example, keeping your text within this area. And that's just another thing, you know, just to keep in mind while you're working. And then these two here, this is your 4x3 area, and then the same thing, this is the 4x3 safe area. So again, like your action safe and your title safe. This is just how TVs used to look. Like everybody has an HD TV, so like nobody has a 4x3 TV anymore unless you're my dad. So, you know, those are just there for you in case you want to make something that's at 4x3, but nobody ever, you know, I don't ever see anybody use this. That's, this is your camera mask. Essentially what your camera mask is like, you can have, and as you can see, I drew like a weird orange out here. Anything that's like, you could go like infinitely, I think. It's like anything that's out here is just, you know, you can do doodles, you can have references out here, you can have anything out here. I'll draw another orange. Or that's not even orange, it's just, I don't even know. There she is. Hello. But when I turn on my camera mask, she's gone. Where did she go? I mean, she's still there, but essentially it's like you're like putting your hands over your eyes, or putting your hands around your eyes and being like, this is what the camera sees. I usually like to keep this on when I'm like going through my storyboards and stuff, because like here, I'll show you real quick. These are just thumbnails for a sequence that I did a while ago. You know, if I have the camera mask off, you can see like where I've drawn like the grid and stuff, and where I haven't completely filled out the tree. And when I don't have the camera mask on, I can see like those edges and stuff. But if I have the camera mask on, it's nice because I can just see what the camera sees. I don't have to worry about, you know, what edges are and not in, you know, the frame. So yeah, that's your camera view. Then you've got your proportion grid. So, you know, all those nice spots, the good old art theory nonsense where it's like, oh, what points are interesting, and, you know, what's it? The golden ratio, the golden hour. I always forget. Anyway, then you have some other things that I'm not entirely sure. I know this is like this little button here, the little time. That's just your overlay. It shows you what scene you're on and what panel, which, you know, I just keep off because you've got all that information down here. You don't really have to worry about that. And then this button is also useful. This is reset view. So say like I get lost in the abyss and I'm just like, I don't know where I am. This little thing right here, a little reset view, it just pops you back where the camera is. So that's, you know, really useful. So that's just like a little bit about the stage view, and all these little buttons that are really useful. So now that you're a little less, I'm let me check in. How's everybody feeling? Hello?
Good.
Just, hello?
You're alone. Everyone left.
Yeah, I know. It's like I look up and I'm like, where's everybody? Where'd you go? Let's talk a little bit about like your workspaces and your other important buttons that you should probably hotkey. So as you can see, I'm in this one, the one with the music note. This is called your timeline workspace. I like working in the timeline workspace because it's easy to scrub through your panels and stuff. I think Storyboard Pro comes like this, like in it's called drawing view. I see a lot of people call it just like your thumbnail view, and you know, so you can see like all your thumbnails, and it's just, to me it's like this is a little bit too bulky, so you can see like all of your drawings and stuff, but in here you can't do a lot of crucial things that you can do in timeline view. So the one first really awesome thing about timeline is that, you know, if you are doing, like I mentioned, hopefully you won't have to time your storyboards as a storyboard artist or revisionist at your job. But if you're doing something like on your own for fun, you can like actually pull out your own, you know, storyboard or like your panels. So if you want this to be 5 seconds long, you can make it 5 seconds long. I think how long are the board? Yeah, they're usually 1 second or 24 frames, but you can pull them out like that, and also squish them. So that's like the first really nice thing that you could do in timeline view. What else can you do with the timeline? You can also see if you... I really wish that there was a way to get rid of... as you can see down here, let me pull this up. You have your storyboards, and then you also have audio. So you can add audio and stuff. And I really wish that there was an easy way to just get rid of the audio, because there's plenty of times where I'm doing boards and I don't have any audio, but there's no way that I know of to just get rid of the audio track. You have to have like at least one there. And I'll go over audio. The other cool thing is that you can see your camera. So as you can see here down the line, I've got some camera movements. And I'll talk about, you know, cameras when I talk about tools a little bit later. Hello, Miranda. Hello. Like I said earlier, I am going to, you can feel free to like leave your mic on if you want to like interject or ask any questions. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, welcome. But anyway, so I'm talking about the timeline view, and how you can like look at it's really nice compared to like, you know, your drawing workspace, because you can actually see your camera. And also down here, if you do like any like drawing animations, like it's called layer transform. If you like move a character, the animation will come like appear down here as keyframes. But yeah, also one other thing just to let you know, in Storyboard Pro, they call I usually just call them shots, but they call them scenes and panels. So usually, you know, you'll start with like your scene 1, panel 1, scene 1, panel 2, scene 1, panel 3, etc. But yeah, I usually just call them shots. And the way that, like, a really nice way that Storyboard Pro like differentiates them, you can see how like the shots are grouped as like this one little chunk and then this little chunk, like they differentiate with colors and like grouping, which is really nice. So you can like look at this and tell, and you can actually, if you go up to preferences, edit preferences, and go to colors, you see here scene group box color 1, scene group box color 2. You can actually change the colors, like you see like the little bars on top and bottom. You can change the colors of those boxes, but I keep them as default because I kind of get distracted. But you actually can, if you want to say like, you know, a lot of times when I'm working, like my supervisor will give me a scene and she'll be like, all right, here are the things that you want to change. And so like I'll have like this one shot and it will be red. So like that's the thing, like the rest of the sequence is good, but this little chunk I need to change. And the way that you can do that and like remind yourself like, oh, I need to go back and do that, is like you press, sorry for Mac users because I'm using a Windows computer. You do shift control, and like, so you start on the one panel that you want to change, shift control to the last one, and then just right click and set color, and you just do whatever color you want. Go back to default. I'll do it again and do like, you know, you could do orange, any color. So that's just, you know, oh no, I'm deleting all the panels. There we go. All right, there we go. That's what I meant to do. I wanted to change it back. So yeah, that's just something that you can do to like mark panels for later. And before I move on from the timeline view, I want to show you guys how to, you know, mess with audio real quick. So I'm just going to grab this one. This is audio that I had set up for a storyboard I wanted to do. This is like me and Bree and our other friend Han playing Twilight Princess. So essentially, if you want to bring in,
no,
I know you're gonna have to listen to this. I just converted this to an MP3. It was like just a video that I made, and I converted it to an MP3, and you could literally just drag it in. I'm pretty sure when you start using, I don't know how much, like, I'm pretty sure this is what it looks like when you bring in an audio track. So to, you know, add all that stuff, first of all, you see down here these little buttons. I would definitely turn on audio scrubbing, because you definitely need to like be able to go through and like listen to the audio. So you could also get to it here by right clicking the audio and turning on audio scrubbing. I also like to show the waveform and turn on the volume and just like the name of the sound clip. The volume is this little blue stripe here, and essentially what it does is like you could turn down and turn up the volume super easily. Another way that you can do that is just right click the audio and do audio gain and change the audio gain there. Storyboard Pro is like kind of going into the direction of like animatic editing, which is again really good for like if you're doing like your own projects, but to me it's like for work, it's kind of, you know, I would not ask a storyboard artist or visionist to do all this stuff. But yeah, with audio scrubbing off, if you scrub through, you can't hear it, but with audio scrubbing on, you can hear the audio, hopefully. I don't know if I have the audio sharing turned on. Also, I forgot to mention these other little...
we heard it.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Also, the other little buttons down here, snapping, if you have that turned on, audio snaps to like, you see like to the beginning of each panel, which is really nice if you want it to like snap specifically to a panel. The overwrite clips, I never remember what it is. I think it like lets you put in multiple audio clips and like overwrite them. I have a link to the documentation for these buttons specifically, and I'm gonna put that in the chat if you want to check that out. Let me see. Yeah, so if you want to look at that, and I'll also put it in the video later. Also, this button I use a lot. This is the animatic editing mode, and with that turned on, and I don't think that this is in 7, but with this turned on, this creates like, you see this gap between my my panels, that's what enables that. So now with animatic turned on, or animatic mode turned on, animatic editing mode, I can now like create this gap between my panels, or create this gap between my shots. So if
Wait, what's the button?
oh, it's right here, Miranda. It's the animatic editing mode down
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah, so that I use that a lot if I'm like doing something with audio and I don't want to, have to sit there and create like panels for every single thing. It's like I have like an idea for like, say, the moment at like 24 seconds, but I have no idea for anything at 12 seconds. So like being able to have like that gap in between is really nice. Also, it also enables you, if you have it turned off, everything, like you see how like the panels go with the panel that I'm either increasing or decreasing, like the length of it. But with animatic mode turned on, you see like it doesn't mess with anything before or after, which is really nice. So I can do this if I have that turned off. You see it just moves with it. So say I have like an audio clip, and this needs to stay at that specific time, which is like 20 seconds, but I've got that turned off and I'm doing this. It's like, oh, suddenly now it's not lined up. So I like having that turned on, so I can actually, fill in that space without everything else moving. So that's another really nice thing that they added to 20, which I appreciate. But yeah, I'm pretty sure, I don't think it's in 7. I think that like they were kind of doing like half steps, like they had like audio scrubbing and others, like they had the beginning of these tools in 7, but they did not have animatic mode, animatic editing mode. I never say it right. Anyway, so yeah, now that I've talked about like the workspaces, now that I've talked about that, also the other buttons up here, these are just like, you got your save, your copy, paste. This button here, I'm not even going to go into 3D, but you can work in 3D just by clicking this button. Now your whole scene is in 3D. It's it's super useful, but not for me, because I'm not going to be working in 3D. So if you ever see this grid and you're like, what just happened? Just, go up here and press 2D, and then you go back to 2D. These other
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Is there a way to like make guidelines and grids? Like,
yeah, that's actually I've got it over here. I am going to go over that.
Sweet.
I wish the perspective options that are in Storyboard Pro were in every drawing program ever, because they're so great. Fucking good.
I know, they're actually really useful and helpful, but usually I've gotten to a point where it's just like I'll just eyeball it. It's like,
yeah, same.
The tools are there, but I'm just like, unless I need to do like 3-point perspective, I think I'm good.
If the shot gets more complicated or something,
yeah, exactly. These other,
they added it to Toon Boom too, which just made me really happy.
Oh, they did? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
These
it's like, I love it. Such a good button.
These other like things up here are just things that you should have mapped to hotkeys, and like I said, you can have everything mapped to pretty much everything mapped to a hotkey. You've got your new panel, new scene, new sequence. I never really use sequences, but I just use your panels and scenes. And like I said, I have them mapped, so it's like I have a new scene, add a new panel to it, just do that. It's way easier. Also, speaking of that, before I move on to the next thing, you can also duplicate panels and stuff. I have mine set, I forgot what it's set to, Shift D. Yeah, that's what mine is. I don't think that's the hotkey, but if you want to change like any hotkeys, just go to Edit, Storyboard, or Edit, or what is it? I've already forgotten. No, Keyboard Shortcuts. Keyboard Shortcuts. And just search what you want. Is it not even in there? Duplicate layers. That's not a hotkey I have. Duplicate. Yes, duplicate selected panels. That's what it is. It doesn't have a default, but I made mine. And speaking of hotkey, like, important shortcuts that don't have a shortcut, another thing that I really like to use is, it's called split, what's it? Yeah, split panel at current frame. It has, again, no default shortcut, but if you're doing like an animatic, I like to use split panel at current frame. Essentially what it does is, like, you see, I'll show you down here. So say, I want to cut this one panel and change Orange's pose or something. So I'll split the panel, and you see now I have 2 panels. And now I can have her, like, that's not what I wanted to do. So now I have her do a little dance. She does her little dance. So yeah, split panel at current frame is a really useful tool to have if you're doing animatics and you don't, again, like, just duplicating the entire panel just means that you don't have to, like, worry about redrawing everything, but also having that other option is really nice. Yeah, so that's just a little, I guess that kind of went over into tools, but yeah, now that I have talked a little bit about, like, these things, these are just, again, buttons that you should just have mapped. Also, what else do you have up here? You have your onion skin, which, again, I just have mapped to a button. And onion skin just shows you, like, what is happening, what's, like, the previous panel, and what's going to be the next panel. I don't think...
Do you mirror it like that real quick?
Oh, I forgot. I always forget my, again, that's just another hotkey that I did. I have a flip canvas hotkey. So I literally, like, they're like, in addition to having my little keyboard, I also have the little Wacom, like, hotkey remote. And, so I have, like, I have so many hotkeys.
Hotkey remote?
Yeah, I have the little Wacom thing. But yeah, so
I didn't know that was a thing. Wait, what does that look like?
It's literally like a little TV remote. It's so funny looking. But, let me see, flip.
I have to Google that. What?
Yeah, so you have a flip horizontal and a flip vertical. Those have defaults. But I have mine, and I just always get it confused with my onion skin. So you can literally just flip your canvas. I like just having that because, just in case Orange looks funny, which she does. But anyway, yeah. So that's just a different hotkey. And another little thing about onion skin, which is really nice. How many of those did I make? I made a ton of them. You can have, if you, like, you see the little arrows here, if you press them, you can, like, determine how many previous you want to see and how many next you want to see. So that's something really fun that you can play around with. And let me use my other little thing as an example. Yeah, so this is really, this little button here, this, you see, like, the A, B, is really nice because if you turn that on, so, like, whatever layer you're on, it will only show you, like, those layers instead of showing you every single layer that will come before and after. So I'll do, like, the bird, for example. Like, I only see the bird's previous and next pose. But the other problem with that is if your layers are different names, it will only show you the layer, like, with the same name. So it's really important for you to, like, make sure. Hello, Moon. It's really important to make sure that across your shot that, like, everything's named the same thing. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure, yeah, they're named E across this shot, but then, like, you see, like, the bird is B, starts out as B, and then, okay. Actually, well, maybe it was B the whole time. I'm just stupid. Oh, wait, no. It was G. It turned to G. I see. Okay, that's why that happened. So, as a storyboard artist, you want to make sure that, like, everything's named the same thing across your layers. Now my onion skin's on. Let's talk about tools. All right, so any tool. Also, how's everybody doing? I know I can be, like, all over the place. Is everybody good?
Doing good.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So any tool that has, like, the little arrow, that means that there are hidden other special tools underneath. Oh my god. So underneath your select tool, which is a tool that I'm constantly using, you see like I select orange. I want to and also if you want to move more than one thing, you see like how this matte layer like has orange colored in. If I want to move both, I just select both of the layers and now I can move her. And now she's over here. So your select tool is super, super useful. I can't believe I forgot to mention this. This is something so like important that I thought I'd come back and like this is after I hosted this little demo. I wanted to go back and show you guys something else real quick. So you know, in relation to the select tool, say throughout this shot here, I want to make the characters smaller. Say they're too big, and you know, you don't want to have to go frame by frame and make the character smaller. Like select it and, you know, do like this and then go back and do this. That's a pain. And plus, you know, it's not going to be the same across every layer. So a way to do this, and by the way, I'm not sure, I think I mentioned this at some point in the video, but I'm not sure if this is before or after, but I will just mention it again. When you're doing your boards, it's really crucial that everything, like, that say, like, for example, for this shot, my characters happen to be on layer C. And don't worry about, like, having, like, writing out, like, you know, like, having that on each shot, like, writing out, when you open a storyboard file, like, that's, layers will go by, you know, like, alphabet. Letters. That's the word I was looking for. So don't worry about doing that. The only important thing is really making sure that, you know, things are on the same layers, because what I'm about to do, it's crucial that like all of the characters are on the same layer. So you see, for example, like my characters are on C, 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 and then B, B, and then C again. So I don't know how that happened, but I'll show you what I want to do. So, for example, I'll just do like a few of these. So, you select, so you Control Shift your first panel and then the last panel, and so all of those are C. All of these are C. Again, you Control Shift, and then you take your select tool and just select the canvas. And the way that you see that, you know that this works, is because even though I'm on one panel, I can see that all the drawings across these panels have been selected. So now I can manipulate them and make them smaller. So there you go. So now you can see across these panels, they're smaller, but then you see they go back. This will not work if I'm like on C. I'm going to select the whole shot now and show you. So I'm on C, I select all of it, and then I'm going to make them smaller. And then they're smaller. And then you see B, the panels that, you see that the panels where they're labeled B, they did not get smaller. I have a script for renaming, so I'll just show you real quick. It's only these two panels here. These two, where they're named B. So just shift select, go to the script, it's the mass rename, make sure it's case sensitive, so you want it to be C. I want to change B to C, B to C, and now both of these panels, they're named C. So again, just select all of the shots, and then select the frame, and then I can make them smaller. And so now, across the whole entire shot, the characters are smaller. So that's something I can't believe I forgot to tell you, but that is something super important. But yeah, go back to the video now. This other one, select by color, is a really nice tool. So say like, you know, I've got all this red all over orange, and it's like, oh my god, how am I gonna get all this red? So you just select color, and you just click on the color that you want to select, and now everything on this panel that is red is now selected, and you can move it around. You can do the same thing with your black, and now just the black lines have been moved. It's a really nice little tool. I really like that tool.
I'm waiting for them to add this tool to animate.
That'd be awesome.
Flash.
That would be really awesome. This other tool under here, I have a dedicated hotkey for. It's called the cutter, and this is, I'll just demonstrate what it does. Say like I do like these 4 lines, you just go to your cutter and you just like swipe, and now I have a perfect little square. It's not perfect, but you know. The one thing about the cutter tool that I don't like is that like you see how like at the beginning these are 4 individual lines that I can, you know, manipulate and stuff, but whenever you use the cutter tool, it now like splits the lines. So now you see, oh, excuse me, Mochi. She hears a bird outside. I'm sorry. Mochi, come here. Ma'am. All right, I have her. So now you see it's not just 4 individual lines. It's a bunch of lines. So like if I want to move those lines, you know, now we've got like these little extra annoying parts that weren't there originally. So that's the one thing I don't like about the cutter tool, but I'm constantly like using the cutter tool. I don't ever use those, but the one thing I do use, I do use the perspective tool, which is really super useful. So say like you want to make a grid, and also just to let you know, if you hold shift, you make perfectly straight lines. So say I make like a little grid, and then I use the perspective tool. Like you're selecting something, you just use the perspective tool, and then you can like make yourself a perspective grid. So now it's like
that's amazing.
Floor. I know, it's so helpful. So like if you're struggling with you know, figuring out perspective, you can use this tool. It's super helpful. And now I have a little floor for Orange to stand on. There she is. So yeah, that's the perspective tool. I love that tool. I wish it wasn't hidden under there because I had no idea it was there. Then you've got your brush tool and your stencil tool, and I forgot what to do with the stencil tool. I learned it and then it just left my mind. So I'll put like I'll look it up and see if I can find some cool stuff about the stencil tool. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the brush tool real quick. So first of all, as you can see, like everything like is kind of crowded over here. If you know, put down that panel, you actually see that there's some hidden treasures under here. So these are just like all of my brushes. You can mess with brush properties by pressing this little thing right here. It says show extended properties. And then I don't know if it'll appear. Are you guys seeing like the little properties? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Awesome. You can mess with you know, the brush properties here. I like to have like I kind of like having it look more like a Sharpie, so I kind of have like a brush like this. You can mess with all of these properties. You can also have a diamond or a square brush. Wow. This is also like depending on your brush type. This is just a solid vector. You could also have textured brushes, which is really cool. So if you think that vector brushes are lame, you can have like a cool, like fun textured brush. And it's so cool. I like I'll have to share these. I got these textured brushes from I think Magic Bunny, if I remember her handle correctly, but I like these brushes. They're really cool.
Oh, is that the splotchy brush?
Yeah. Yeah,
I have the same one.
That's the spiky. This is the splotchy. I love. Oh, these are so nice. These are really nice and fun to draw with.
It's satisfying, yeah.
It's super satisfying, but I like.
My only gripe with it is like the cutter tool doesn't work the same with it. But
that's the thing about like textured brushes. Like one other tool that again doesn't have like what's it called, a hotkey, but should have a hotkey, is this very important tool. If you go again to edit and keyboard shortcuts and look up Automat.
Yeah, that one's so good.
Just look up auto. Yeah, generate Automat. This is a very crucial keyboard shortcut to have. I've got mine set as G, and essentially when you generate Automat, it'll ask you, well actually here, let me I'll do this on a separate layer so I can. So when I generate Automat, this little window will pop up. It'll ask you like the radius, which essentially is like how far, like, if your lines are really, like, open like mine on this little orange drawing, it'll ask you, like, how far it wants you to, like, to go to close those, you know, those lines. I'm not making any sense. Anyway, but I keep it pretty high because my lines are pretty much always really, like, never closed. I'll show, like, an example, and then it asks you your matte color. You can change it to, like, whatever color you want, but usually if I'm doing, like, I want to color in for a storyboard, I usually just make it white. And then I like to have create matte on a new layer, so, like, now it's a new layer all by itself. It's not, like, interfering with my drawing. And again, yeah, you see the auto matte went outside the lines, which is kind of a pain. I'll do like a different example. I'll do like a here. Over here.
I also want every single program to have that as a function because I hate wasting time. We like
oh yeah,
filling
totally.
things in perfect. So do I.
So I'll draw like again, I just draw orange all the time, and I'll make sure like her lines are open. There she is. And then I'll draw like a background. Let's see. It's like, there she is. She's standing in the bushes, but I don't like that I can see the bushes and stuff behind her, but I don't, you know, if you erase the background, then if I need to change that drawing, then like the background is gonna look like, if I want to move her, you know, now it's like, oh, well, I erased the background, so instead of doing that, you can just generate an auto matte for her, and I'll make it orange. And I'll do like a really low one at first. I'll do like maybe, like, let's say 50. So yeah, the only thing it colored in was like this thing, which is really closed. So I like to kind of have it a little bit higher. So I had mine at like 200. So even that, it didn't close entirely, but I can show you a different way to fix that. So if you go back to your brush, if you see down here, you have this little thing. This is autofill. So if you turn that on and you draw a complete circle, like if you draw not even like just a shape that is closed, it will fill it in for you. So you could do that. But usually if the auto matte doesn't work, I just like to go back and make it higher, and then, you know, it'll fill in. But yeah, autofill is something that you can use, but the generate auto matte is something that I definitely would recommend turning on. Another thing you can do, if you don't want to do that, is you can also do this. You can turn this on. It's draw behind. So every drawing, like every stroke you make, will appear behind the drawing. But again, it's like on the same layer, so if you select, it's going to select everything, which is kind of a pain. But, you know, you could do draw behind, and with autofill on, now it does that. So that just seems like, to me, an extra step, which is kind of silly. It's just like, I just rather use generate auto matte. So yeah, it still gets to the same conclusion. So there we go. So yeah, that's those are some tools that aren't even in the frickin' sidebar here, and they should be. So yeah, that's a little bit about like the brush tool. Then you got your pencil, which I never use. Never ever use. Stamps, again, I don't use that. You got your eraser. I've never used the text tool ever. Then you've got like,
I think the pencil tool is useful if you are animating in Storyboard Pro, but it's not necessarily, like, doing boards, I don't think the line quality matters too much. But if you're doing like an actual you know, final product within Storyboard Pro, I would say it's still useful.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then your shapes. You got the bucket, which again I don't really use because I use Automat. And by the way, is you can see over here this window. This is your tool properties window. Every tool that you like click has different properties, so you can go through and like look at the different properties. Your hand. This button here is the layer transform. So I was talking earlier about, like, you know, making animations with your drawings. I'm not going to go too much into this, but I do have a video from Sherm Cohen on like how to do that. But essentially, just to like show you real quick, if you want to like get this started, you see like the little stick guy over here, you like turn it on, and you see now you have a keyframe for this layer in particular. And then over here in the tool properties, you add another keyframe, and now you can like move it. So now orange moves. Really cool. But her mat didn't move because I didn't bother moving her mat. And then the camera tool, another really, really, you know, great tool. Again, the camera, you can see your camera up here in the timeline view. I'll look at like this camera move real quick. If I turn off the camera mask, you can see like the path at which the camera will move. Like my camera starts here, you can end here. Some really nice things you could do with cameras is, you know, you can, if you go up to the little square, you can like fix your frame. So now the shot's wider. You can make it closer by pulling in. And now the shot's really close. What else can you do? Also just move it around if you want to reframe things. Now, you know, she started off like to camera right, and now I want to make her camera center. And now it's like, oh, okay, now the shot's different. And those are just like some basic things like about the camera without even talking about keyframes. Your keyframes, how you do like a keyframe is, again, you come up here to your tool properties, you add a keyframe at the beginning of the frame, and then you can add other ones in between. But if you just want to do like a start and the finish, you add a keyframe at the end. So, and also make sure that you're clicking, you see like your red and your green, that's the red, or the green is your start, the red is your final. You click on the keyframe at the beginning, say I want to like pull out a little bit, so at the end of the frame I'll like pull out a little bit, so you know we kind of zoom out on her and end like right there. So that's just a little bit about camera moves. You can also ease in and ease out, which is really nice. I really enjoy the ease in and ease out, and so now it's like easing the camera out a little bit. Also, I don't know if I don't know if there's a button for playing. I think there's, you know, you just press the play selection, but I have it mapped to enter, kind of like Adobe, what's it called now? Animate? Yeah, I have it mapped to enter. It's Flash. So that's just a little bit about camera.
Still Flash in my heart.
I know. It's always going to be Flash in my heart too. That's a little bit.
I'll never forgive Adobe for changing it to Adobe Animate.
I know.
I'll never forgive them.
Just call it Flash.
It's an objectively bad name too. Like if I Google Animate, I'm not gonna get the program. If I Google Flash, I'm gonna get the program. Like it's an objectively bad name.
I agree with you. I really do.
How dare they do this to us? But yeah.
But yeah, that's a little bit about the tools. Also down here you have your light table. I think I mentioned that in the chat a few days ago. And essentially what light table does is like whatever frame I'm on, whatever layer that I'm on, if I turn on the light table, everything else will dim. So now I have a better sense of what I'm working on. Like now I'm working on the foreground, looking at the background. And you can actually change the opacity of your different layers, like of the light table with scripts, and I'll show you how to do that. Alright, hi, I am recording after the fact because Storyboard Pro decided to just like stop working when I tried running this script when I was doing my stream. So I am instead, you know, a few hours later, while I'm editing this video, I'm going to redo this again. I'm going to show you what I tried showing everybody that came to my little demo, how to work with scripts. So again, this is your script editor. Again, that probably isn't there when you load into Storyboard Pro. So again, you just press the little plus, the little tab, and you can get your script editor right there. And also, I don't think scripting is on this toolbar either. So again, you just go up to the toolbar, right click, and have scripting here. So I talked about the light table script. So this is actually built into, the script is already like in Storyboard Pro. So, but just to show you how to import a script and get it working. So first you go to your script editor, you see this little F with the arrow, you import your script. And these are JavaScript files. The one that I'm doing is top light. It's already loaded into Storyboard Pro, but just to show you, this is how you import it. Again, it says it's already here. You can find it right here at the bottom. It's top light. It shows you the script over here in this little box. But to load it, to like actually get it as a functioning button, you come over here to this little F at the top with the arrow. You have it here. It's right there, TB top lights. And then it comes over here, like these are the different functions of this script. I want the top light. You click it and then you just add it with this arrow, and now it's here. And also with these arrows, if I want it like say at the very top, I can put it at the top. Also, you see these scripts. These scripts are from. I've already got a delete layer. Yeah, I've already got a delete layer function, so or script, so I don't have to worry about that. But all of these are from Corey Barnes. He's a storyboard artist, and he's made a lot of cool scripts. I'm going to put a link to his Gumroad with all those scripts in the description. And when once you get them in the toolbar, I think it's just like a gear icon by default. But a lot of these, like, will have, like, you could do, like, a little custom icon. And by getting a custom icon, you just, click and then find your icon and load it in. I'll show you real quick where, like, let's see, like mine. I have a whole storyboard script folder. So, once you load your script in, what's the script? It's delete hidden and empty layers. It doesn't matter. No, that's not even see, it did matter. It's not even the right folder. Delete hidden and empty layers here. So yeah, see the script icons. I made one, but I like his better. So you just open it and now it's the custom. That doesn't really matter, but it's good to like be able to have like a little icon so you don't have to hover and be like, which function is this? So as you see, like when you turn on the light table, it's you can tell, but if I want like the opacity to be, a little bit, I can't remember oh, here we go, it shows you, which is great. So that's like all the way down, I can't see anything. That makes it a little bit lighter. That's pretty much opaque. So yeah, have it a little bit lighter. It also does onion skin opacity, which is really nice. So let me real quick, I'll turn on the onion skin and press the top light again, and it shows you like like how far you can go, which is really nice. So I might turn mine down a little bit because it gets a little distracting for me. So yeah, and now let me talk a little bit about like your choice of panels, and I'll talk about like the different panels over here. So first of all, let me just that's too wide. Too wide, ma'am. All right, that's a little bit better. So you can have anything you want over here. I think when you set it up, I don't even know if this panel is here, but I like to have color, because I'm not always doing just black and white. I like to have like mid-tones for when I'm doing like backgrounds and stuff. So I have my color, but you don't have to, like, you can actually move the panels if you just grab like the little tab. Like now I can put it, over here. Oh God. And now it looks like this. If I can only grab, there we go. No, it's too far. See, this is why I don't like it like this. Anyway, yeah, you can move it around. I usually just keep color down there so I could just close it. The panels that are like come with startup, I think, are panel, storyboard, and tool properties. Again, your tool properties is just like anything, like your tools and what they can do, including like your camera and like the keyframes and your brushes and your brush properties. But your panel is essentially just, again, what's the scene or your shot and what the panel is. So you see this is scene 0, panel 1, 2, 3, 4. Also the duration, like how many, and again, how many frames it is, and like your comments, your dialogue, your action notes, your slugging, and other notes. Usually I don't ever see anything like other than dialogue. So working, I don't ever see anybody use action notes or slugging or other notes. Everybody I just see uses dialogue. And you can see I actually use it here. So like every panel I have like different lines for the characters talking. And you can just essentially just go in and edit it like panel by panel. Super easy. Then your storyboard is essentially, again, this just gives you information about your storyboard, the duration, how many scenes, how many panels, how many transitions. I didn't even talk about transitions. I forgot to talk about transitions. Whoops. Transitions. I'm like, it's been like an hour. I'm so sorry. Transitions. The unfortunate thing is you can't do transitions between panels, but you can do transitions between scenes. And they're very, very simple. If I do like a transition between these two shots, and again, you click on it and it will show you the properties. Oh yeah, it shows you the properties under panel. So like I wipe between and you see it like did a dissolve. I think there's not a lot. You've got like these 4 choices.
I wish there was more.
I know. Look, it's like we're in Star Wars. Wow, just like the Star Wars. Anyway, yeah, it sucks that like you can't do it between panels. You just can do it between scenes, and there's not a lot of options. But that's just transitions. What else? Yeah, so again, like it'll tell you how many transitions there are, and then also your script. This is just like some notes that I wrote about this little sequence here. Just like it wasn't even a script; it was just like my notes, and it's super easy to import. Like if say you have like a Word document or like a PDF, you just import your script by clicking this little button. Also, you can mess with like the formatting and stuff if you want to make something bold and all that other cool stuff. What does this button do? That's something you want to hear. What is this button? I don't even know what this button does. That's your storyboard, and then again your tool properties, and then these things over here are just like stuff that I have. You could get these extra panels by just clicking the little plus. And there's a ton of other stuff that I don't even use, like I don't use, but you could just go through them yourself and like see the different panels. Again, like you saw, like color. I have color down here because I like having color. I don't have to, that way I don't have to switch between like my tool properties and color. I just can do that and get the color I want. But the other like little tools I have over here are layers, which I actually used layers for a little bit in this sequence that I'll actually show you really quick. So like this right here, this camera move that I did for this sequence, I wanted something very specific, and my friend Lisa, who is a very talented and amazing storyboard artist, she helped me figure out this problem. So I told her, I was like, I want the characters to move with the camera while the background like recedes. So if I play this, you see like the characters are keeping up with the camera while the background recedes. And the way that you do this, she showed me this. So you go to your layers tab, and every layer, like the layer alignment, should have like the no alignment. It should be like not associated with the camera. So what I did was every layer in this shot is instead pinned to the camera. So like them moving, you know, so let me just show you what it would look like if they're not pinned to the camera. So now instead, this is what the shot looks like. Now they're like not moving at all. So that was like a super helpful trick to have them keep up with the camera without me having to worry about the drawings. So again, you just find the layer that you want to pin to the camera, and you just go through and you pin all of the layers to that camera. So that's like a super helpful tip. Yeah, I know, right?
That one's really good. Yeah,
I know. She taught me that, and I was just like, oh my god. So yeah, that's like super helpful. I love that. So that's why I've got the layers tab open. And now guides is how you do pretty much your perspective grids and stuff. So this is a super helpful little box, whatever it is. So the way that you do guides is you enable guides first of all. You have to turn that on. And then you press the little check, and there's a ton of different like perspective grids you could do. You could do like a square grid, 1-point grid, and this is just stuff that you could go through and look. And essentially when you turn on like the square grid, for example, now you see you've got these lines. And now when you draw on your canvas, you'll just make straight and like you'll make vertical, horizontal lines when you draw. And the way that you turn this off is if you go back to your panel over here and you just like click off of it. So now you can go back to drawing normally. Also, if you want to, so I'll show this with a different one. So like let's add 1-point perspective to this. So I've got 1-point perspective, and now you see on this new layer that I have, you've got your horizon line and your vanishing, this is your vanishing point. So if you, and again, you can move this anywhere on the stage view. So say I want the horizon line to be like out here. So I keep it there, and also you can lock it in place by pressing this little button here. So now when I draw on it, if you don't have it locked, if you draw too close, it'll move the vanishing point. So once I have it set, I like to lock it. So now I could draw all the lines that I need. Be careful because sometimes it's just like, yep, you want to do just a straight line, right? It loves to do that.
Like if I'm working on a background or something in Photoshop or some other program, like why doesn't every drawing program have this? Like you have to make like the 100-starred shape and then like move all the star points out, and it's like no, I just add this to your program. This is so freaking good.
It would be so useful. And
if I want to be exact about buildings and stuff, like
amazing. I'm like playing around with it on mine, and it's so cool.
I know, right?
Yeah,
and you can mess with the number of lines. If you don't want that many lines, you can pull it down here, or you can have a ton of lines. There's a ton of different, like, as you can see, it goes all the way up to freaking 5-point fisheye perspective, which I don't think I've ever used. I don't ever want to use, but it's there if you want it. So it's super cool.
That's one of the new ones they added, right? Like, yeah. I'm glad they added fisheye. I don't have that new version yet, but
this is 20. So and if you are done with it, just click off of it, and then you can go back to drawing normally. So those are the grids, and then finally the last thing that I'm going to talk about. There's one other thing I should mention. If you select all of your panels, like you see how like mine is scene 0, and I actually think I have like for example, this is scene 2A, 2B. This is something that you do not want to do. It makes you look very unprofessional. If you don't have your scenes numbered correctly. So if you select all of your panels by, again, just going to the last one and then going to the first one and, doing control select, you go to storyboard and rename scene. And once this little box pops up, you do renumber selected scenes, and then it will show you. So now 0, I wish it would go to 1. I don't know why it's doing that. But 0A is 1, 1 is 2, etc., etc. So now it's like, now I have 12 scenes. Actually, here you go. I could do, now I want, so if you want it to start at 1, if you wanted to start, like, say at 5, whatever you want to start at. I want it to start at 1, so 0 is now 1. So now, if I do that, now this is scene 1. I go through, this is now scene 2, that's scene 3, scene 4, 5, 6, etc. So, like, that's something really important if you, like, export your work, where you can see, like, the scene numbers and all that. Like, if you're doing a PDF and you have all that information on there, it's super important to have everything labeled correctly, because it does not look professional. If, I've seen, like, storyboards where it's, like, scene 1A, like, 2, like, they look like this, and that does not look good. That's not a good look for you.
So you want it to be, like, 01, 02, 03
Yeah,
is best.
It depends on like the project you're working on, but for me, it's just having it like shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, shot 4, shot 5, etc. is good, you know. And again, you don't like, if you say like you do in between shots, like if you see like between shot 3 and 4, I add like a new scene, it'll ask you, it will be like, okay, what are we gonna call this new scene? It automatically does A, and then if you add another scene, it does B, C, D, etc. And you can go through that, and I think it goes back to like numbers after it reaches the end of the alphabet. But again, you don't have to worry about like renaming everything until you're done with the project. It's like at the end of the project, you can just, again, like I said, I'll select all of it again. And that's the one thing I don't like about the timeline. You see, like, if you have like the little arrow thing here, it'll just like pull out the shot. You have to make sure it's actually the black, like, arrow key or whatever it is, pointer. So you select them all, storyboard, rename scene, renumber selected scene. So you see all those like 3A through like J will go.
We do not see, no.
Yeah. Oh, you don't see it?
Oh, no, there's no pop-up.
There's no pop-up? What?
No.
What the heck? Oh my god. Freaking Discord. Well, I did it, but now you can see, like, you see now it's like 5, 6, 7, 8, like, it, so does it show you, like, when I press storyboard and go to rename scene, is it showing that at least?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you go to that, and then you get a pop-up that you can't see, but I can see.
It's real, I swear.
It's real,
Here,
I
just
swear.
like outline with your mouse where it is.
Here, I'll do that real quick. It's like right here. It's this big. Because, as you just saw, nobody could see my pop-ups, any of those windows. I just wanted to go over one more thing later, after the fact, and that will be exporting. You have a bunch of different types of ways to export your storyboards. You've got like PDF, you've got movies, which just makes the an animatic. You've got Bitmap, which is just individual frames. I usually do Bitmap and then put it all together in a PDF, but real quick, I'll just show you PDF. There's a whole bunch of different options. I've got my own like thumbnail export, and this is just stuff that you have to play with and see what you like. But yeah, they've got a bunch of different default formats. Usually you'll see like the 3 horizontal, and I'll put up an example of what this looks like. Just from me to you, like my recommendation is to really not use something like that, especially when like your dialogue is so overwhelmingly large. It's like the whole point of your storyboard is to see your art. That's kind of the most crucial part about storyboards. It's all about seeing the art. I mean, obviously everyone has their own way of doing it, but I would definitely recommend doing like exporting, and I'll show you like what some of the options for bitmaps are. So I'm not sure what's turned on. I can't remember what's turned on, but I pretty much just have everything turned off. You have different options for like the format. It used to just be like JPEG and like these. You could even export to Photoshop, but nowadays I just use PNG. But if you don't want to, take a lot of time exporting stuff, just use JPEG. You also have your export range. You can select scenes, so you just select different scenes, and all that good stuff. You also have your burn-in, which is, it just prints the scene name and panel numbers, and then captions, which is by default none. But usually what I like to do is if I have like dialogue, I'll put up like an example of like how some of these frames look exported out like this. And then you have movie, which is another one that I use. Again, it's just all this macaroni with chicken strips was the last thing I exported.
Macaroni
with the chicken strips.
Again, you've got your export range, your burn-in. You actually can do time codes and your camera grids too. So I always forget to turn this off, but I always like print the action safe area in here. And then again, you have your dialogue, all those other good notes. And then one more thing before I let you go, I want to show you this little example that I have. A lot of times I see students when they have like a camera move. So I made this camera move for you guys. Let me show you. So I'll just play this camera for you. As you can see, like we go across the panel and we land on this beautiful vulture, and she's just sitting there. She's enjoying her day. There she is. So I see a lot of students, if they have a camera pan like this, if they do, single board storyboards and it's like up on their portfolio, a lot of times I'll see literally this, like it will just be a long panel, and that could be really disorienting, and it kind of takes you out of the storyboard. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll render it for you real quick and I'll put it up on screen. This is what it looks like when you don't do any keyframes with your panels, like a big move like this. So yeah, usually the way that I do it is I just go through my shot and I just use that tool I talked about before, which is just you split your panel, and then now I'm splitting this very long one, essentially just one panel into a bunch of panels. So when we get to the end here, now like every single panel will be like actually rendered. So let me export this real quick and I will show you up on screen what it looks like when this is more than one just single panel. It actually plays out like the camera's moving. So yeah, that's just a little tip I would recommend doing when you're working with Storyboard Pro. It makes your boards look more professional, and the other thing is, like I said, I turn everything off, so I don't have like the print camera frame that kind of where it shows you like the first frame and then your last frame. I think it just kind of distracts. You want to play it like you're in a movie. You want to look professional. But anyway, that's just a little extra tip about exporting. And I've been talking way too long, so